Happy New Year. It's 2021. Welcome back to RC Hospice Talk. We are dubbing this Season 3 as we introduce new videos about hospice care. Today's session is going to be titled Grief Support in Hospice. Hospice is a difficult journey. And the difficulty seems to enhance, especially when your loved one passes. Grief can begin even before the actual death. And therefore, hospice is geared with individuals such as the three of us who are to help you through that process, not only of dying and death, but what happens after death. So therefore, we're here today with you. My name is Tom. I'm the chaplain here at RC Hospice. I've been here for almost 6 years and previously served as a pastor in several churches. This is where I come in as the chaplain. We also have with us...
My name is Lilith. I'm one of the social workers here. I have been here for a little over 6 years. And we focus on, being there for the family prior to death, and as well as being there for the family after the patient passes.
And my name's Asia. I'm also a social worker. I've worked in hospice for about 10 years now. And along with Lilith, we do help the families with anticipatory grieving, social emotional support, and different kinds of resources that they may need before and after someone passes.
And so along with the nurse and the home health aide, hospice also offers the social worker and the chaplain. Now, one question that may quickly come to your mind is how we as hospice, and especially as the social worker and chaplain, would support a family in those final days leading up to their loved one's passing. Maybe that's something you could address at this time.
Yeah, so when we find out that the patient is imminent or they're starting to transition, we do make a visit before the 5 days prior to the patient's passing. We prepare the family for what's coming. We talk about the dying process. We provide resources to the family, and just we're present emotionally for the family. I think that's the biggest gift the patient's family can get, as well as the patient themselves. Having that support from someone other than direct family, being there next to them during those last days of the patient's life.
Yeah, just like Lilith was saying, one of the things that we often provide is what's called just supportive presence, which sounds simple, but just having another person there physically with the patient, especially if they're in a care home or with the family, just to be with them. We also provide a lot of education on what to expect, what signs and symptoms the family might be seeing, so they know this is normal, this is part of the process. We want them to just feel like they're not alone.
Isn't some of the education in booklet form? Don't we have booklets that provide some of this education?
Yeah, we have a really great booklet that goes through what to expect weeks before someone passes, days, hours. So we really want the family to feel as prepared as they can in that situation. In
my experience, a lot of times I've seen with families is you think you know, and then you experience it and you find out you don't. Or maybe you've forgotten, or whatever. So those little booklets, to me, are very much a help in that regard. So this is some of the things we do in preparing a family for that imminent event, but then it occurs. So once that has occurred, if you don't mind me asking, what's the place of a social worker for a family whose loved one has just died?
Yeah, so Lilith and I always make a call right after someone passes just to kind of assess how the family's coping, how they're doing, offer support. And then we have a variety of different options. So our bereavement services go on for 13 months after someone passes. And there's really a variety of different ways of doing that. Sometimes it's support phone calls. We have great resources that we mail out to families. Sometimes we have people coming in for counseling sessions, or we're going out for counseling sessions.
So hearing you, Asia, say that, a question arises in my mind. I know the answer already, but maybe some of our listeners won't. Is with all that we offer, are they required by hospice program to receive everything that we offer them to receive?
Absolutely not. There are situations where we, as the social worker, following the passing of the patient, we contact the family and they don't want any more resources or phone calls or anything because it reminds them of their loved one. And it's harder for them to cope hearing about their passing
some
of
like
their
that, aren't there?
mother or
Yeah.
spouse or whatever the case may be. So it is not where it's mandatory, but we do offer it for the families.
Now, if I may say on the other
Yeah.
side, there are people who do like it, don't they?
Absolutely.
And that's where you come in.
Yes, and actually a lot of people do like it. They love the resources because, I personally have dealt with hospice, losing a loved one. My grandfather passed away about 1.5 years ago, and it was good to receive those resources for my family because it kind of, especially when there's holidays that, there's certain holidays that come, it's harder for the family during those times. And just having that and finding that these are normal emotions to feel is very important for the family.
Much so. And also, if I may add, as a chaplain, it's the same way. My services are not required, but then I also do have some families who, after their loved one has passed, ask me to continue contacting them, and I do. And that's a good thing that hospice can provide if you want it. A good recent example of social worker and chaplain attentiveness is a patient we just recently had who passed, but in the process of her passing, their family called. They wanted to know if the chaplain and the social worker could come to see their mom before she died. And thankfully, we were both able to show up, Lilith and myself, not at the same time. It just happened that I showed up and I had a prayer with them and read Psalm 23. And family, I believe, and they have expressed that we're very happy with that. I left, and thankfully their loved one was still alive, and here came Lilith, the social worker, and had her process with the family. Later that night, their mom died, but always love it when the plan works, and that was a good example of it working.
Absolutely.
And they wanted us, and we were there, and we were there on time, and it all came together, and I like that.
And if I may add to that, it was definitely very sudden and unexpected for the family. When our nurse informed the family about it, they were rather surprised because a week ago, prior to that, she was walking, she was talking, and now she was unfortunately passing away.
Yeah.
So just being there, our presence, and just providing education on what's happening, what to expect, and what can come, in the next hours to minutes, was very assuring to the family.
Yeah.
So I think, it is important to have that support for the family.
And now it's done. Now what next? One of the words we like to use, and Asia is going to help me address this, is legacy. Your loved one is gone. Not forgotten, but gone. And we can assist, especially in promoting and maintaining your loved one's legacy. Asia, talk to us about that some.
Yeah, so our legacy program is really wonderful in that it's something that we begin prior to the person passing, and it's a way to kind of ease that transition into, normalizing life again after the person's gone. So we have a variety of different options for that. One of my favorite things that we've done is taking the patient's fingerprint and creating a piece of jewelry, either a necklace or a bracelet for their loved one. We've also done some really neat sculptures where maybe a patient and a spouse hold hands and dip their hands into a kind of a clay mold, I guess, and it comes out with their hands together, and that's a really beautiful thing that people can keep after their loved one passes. If anyone would like more information on our bereavement support or grief and loss, we have a wonderful page dedicated to that on our website with lots of different resources and articles. You can find that at rc-hospice.org. If you'd like some information about our legacy projects and program, you can also see that at rchclegacy.com.
At the beginning of this session, there was mentioned about it's so simple, and that is just being there. Also in chaplain training, it's called the Ministry of Presence, and there's something to be said for a social worker or a chaplain to just be there. One of the good words I've heard numerous times from the families of our patients is we've attentive and we show up. It's timely, and that's a good thing. You want your social worker or your chaplain to be there and to be there on time. So I hope you enjoyed this little session with information, with heart, and tune in for the next one. Be ready and be on the lookout when our next session is posted. If you'd like any more information about RC Hospice, you can call us at 916-858-1440. Thank you very much for joining us today. We'll see you again.